Sri Reddy Garu, Chairperson, National Biodiversity Authority, Dr. Sandilya, Dr. Mona Lisa Sri, and distinguished participants of the National Conference on Urban Biodiversity. It's indeed my privilege to be present this afternoon here. As many of you are aware, an institution by name HYDRAA, that's an acronym for Hyderabad Disaster Response and Asset Protection Agency. This is a recently created body constituted in July 2024 by an executive order of the state government. And as the name mentions, it is our prime duty is the disaster response or the disaster management, and coupled with the asset protection. And we were given a lot of powers under various enactments too, in the recently issued ordinances and various other executive orders. We are endowed with powers under GHMC Act, that is the Greater Hyderabad Municipal Corporation Act, the Municipalities Act, Irrigation Act, Volta Act, Land Revenue Act, etc. etc. So various powers were endowed to HYDRAA under various enactments that are in vogue. Now the primary duty of HYDRAA is, apart from the disaster response, we are mainly into protection of various water bodies, parks, that is a lot of green spaces, nalas, first order, second order, or third order, whatever the streams which we have, open spaces in various layouts. So you have a lot of municipal layouts and also a lot of open spaces meant for some common purpose, like a hospital building, or could be for a reading room, or for a library, or a gymnasium. So there we have to protect such common spaces, common public spaces too. Roads, that is traffic related encroachments. These are all part of the mandate that has been given by the government to HYDRAA. Now I have joined here in July, and the first day when I joined, there was an article in the newspaper. He was a quite an affluent person. He encroached into a park. There's a lotus pond here, that's in the where posh area called Banjara is here. Many of you who are from Hyderabad will understand. So one particular individual who was quite well off, he broke open the fencing and felled some trees and all, which was, that was a park. Some tens of trees and all were felled and tried to occupy that, almost like an acre of land. So I was actually startled, that was in the heart of the city, and somebody could break open a compound wall and get into it. And the first day when I went there, I noticed that he put a lot of gravel that he was excavating there, lot of which was excavated. He had almost an acre of land, excavated that, and he was dumping into the adjacent land, that is a park land, and broke open the wall. So immediately we got his retention wall not demolished, and whatever land was there, we immediately booked a criminal case on him. So he tried to build some retention wall, we got it demolished immediately, and so we took some immediate harsh measures, and the land was restored. So why I am saying this particular example is, it's not that only the normal or the middle class or the poor or whoever, they are the encroachers. It's not that. It is the greed. Mainly, I find that the affluent sections, he was some hundreds of thousands of crores worth, and he had an acre of land, and he was trying to occupy another 1 acre of land. So it is a sheer greed which was driving people. So we have to see that something somewhere we have to put a check to this. And subsequent to that, and we try to our first the methodology or the strategy which we have adopted was see the lakes or water bodies or streams and various places, lot of this environmental related spaces like parks and all. I collected the data from NRSC. Immediately first week I went to National Remote Sensing Center, had a meeting with the director there, and we collected a lot of information. And I was really baffled to see that almost 61% of the water bodies in Hyderabad were encroached. And only 39% was remaining. Now the pace with which the encroachments were happening has further, that has actually increased in the last 10-15 years when the land rates have really escalated. So they both are directly proportional, the pace with which the encroachment happens and the land rates. And 61% is occupied, is encroached, hardly have 39%. With the pace with which it is going, if you do not put a check to this, then within the next 15-20 years, I don't think you will have any water body present in Hyderabad. Our jurisdiction, as per the executive order also, is we have a jurisdiction up to outer ring road. That's almost like 2,000 square kilometers. That is, we have a area of GHMC, which is about 625 square kilometers, surrounded by another 27 municipalities of the local borders. Total area comes under to almost over 2,000 square kilometers. So now we have to see that the water bodies, first we have to, even till today, we don't have a proper database of the enumeration of the lakes, water bodies in Hyderabad. We are trying to build such database now. An authentic database, authentic and transparent and foolproof database. We are trying to build a database now. And for all everything, not just water bodies, for the government lands and parks and nalas and everything. We are trying to build a very, very authentic database. And we have to secure such assets, public assets. Now, going back to the NRSC thing, then we had a internal meeting, and then we thought, yes, we should see that whatever unchecked encroachments on the water bodies that's happening in and around Hyderabad should be checked. So this is unabated, going on for many years, and so now it is time that we take some very, very harsh measures, and with the support of the government, immediately we identified some of the very landmark encroachments. There was an area called Bumruk Dwala. Bumruk Dwala is one of the very historical lake here in Hyderabad, near to the National Police Academy. So that lake was encroached by some of the local leaders there. And this has been going on for the last almost more than 10 years. We found that everywhere there were orders, speaking orders, everything is going around in circles, but nobody is trying to, bend the cat. So that's not a thing. It's everything is going on in the circles, but there is nothing like, nobody is checking it. And some people claim that we have title, that is our land and all. See, Hyderabad or Telangana, we have lands are like this. Lake, as you are aware, lake consists of two types of lands here. One is the government, that is, we call the total land is called the Shikam land. Shikam land is the FTL, 10 FTL, where that in that you have partly government land and partly private land. Private land we call the Shikam Pattas. Now the Shikam Pattas, they are the private lands, yes, but they cannot raise any structures in that private land. So only at best, that comes within the lake. Lands in the buffer zone can be used for recreation purpose as per the building rules, 2012. So nothing, no structure should come up on any of these, Shikam lands, be it government land or the private land. But what is happening since almost last decades? The private lands were being converted to layouts. People were claiming that it is a private land. It is, so XYZ is the owner of it, that they have a title for it. And so they think that they are the rightful claimants to that particular land. which is as per the law, it's not so. So layouts were there. Recently, High Court has given a wonderful judgment a few days back, claiming that state is a trustee. It is not owner of that anything. So any land that has, even in the Hyderabad Metropolitan Development Authority gives a layout permission, GHMC gives a construction permission, some electrical, transfer, somebody gives a power connection, water board gives a water connection, GHMC imposes property tax, they collect all those. It doesn't give any legitimacy to that particular institution, to that structure. It is still, if it comes up in a FTL or in a buffer zone, that still can be, that is the government, that is the community's property. So that can be, nobody can have any legal claim over it since because he is there for last 20 years, 30 years or 40 years and that he has got all the rightful permissions. So government has, the High Court has given a wonderful judgment. And Supreme Court, you are aware that recently Justice Gawai on that bulldozer justice, the landmark judgment. So they have clearly mentioned that the procedure to be adopted for demolitions. And very clearly, institution like HYDRAA, which is actually operating mainly on the protection of water bodies and the green spaces or onto the roads, we need not issue any notice. So that was also very clearly mentioned in the particular Supreme Court judgment. There is a provision called 405 GHMC Act in the 1955 enactment, which says that while demolishing any structure which has come up in a water body, notice is not mandatory. Notice is not required. So we have adopted that 405 GHMC Act and the Supreme Court whatever guidelines on demolitions and the recent High Court judgments, and we have done about 27 demolitions here in Hyderabad. So many of the structures were razed to ground, and some of the media has caught attention. It is, many of you are aware that it is one N convention which was built by the famous actor Telugu actor Mr. Ranganath, that also was razed to ground. So it was an unauthorized structure. He was able to manage for the last 10-12 years without any permissions and all. And it was being done as a convention hall. So we demolished that too. And many of those, many of the ex-union ministers and their resorts and all were also demolished. Now our intention is not just go, get out of the demolition speed. Our intention is much bigger than that. With these demolitions, now everybody in Hyderabad was sensitive to what exactly is a buffer zone, what exactly is an FTL. Now people they think twice before buying any property near to a water body. So that is an awareness which I think HYDRAA could create, and government has been very supportive on, they have given total freedom to us to operate. And that awareness has really, for a while there might be, that real estate might have been, that some vagaries of this thing might be there. But these are all very transient or very temporary things. And, things will definitely fall in line. But it's a better system that is, it's only that what HYDRAA or the government has done is the rule of law should prevail. That's all. Nothing more than that. Nothing, there's nothing great about any this thing. Only we ensure that rule of law prevail there. And the Aminpur, I was not aware that it was part of that, after extending the invitation, I was just going through what exactly is Aminpur Lake. We were after the encroachment because there every political party, irrespective of the political views, they were trying to get into land grabbing there near Aminpur. Irrespective of all the ruling party, opposition, everybody. So everybody were getting onto that. So we were trying to check that. And after this invitation from this particular conference, then I started, just trying to Google it, what exactly is this. So I found that this is a, biodiversity, first water body that has been declared as a heritage site. I felt very happy. In fact, when I've been there to Aminpur, I saw a lot of, that cranes or the flamingos and all were there perched on that there were huge boulders and the rocks. For a while I thought that they were all, some idols or could be some statue types and all. For a while I was, I was taken this thing by surprise, thinking that they were all some stone things which are, some as a, this thing, beautification of that particular area. But later I realized they are the live birds. And the lake quality is so bad that lot of effluents from the nearby areas, they are being allowed into this. And the sewage is being, that is also coming from the nearby all the residential localities. Lot of industrial effluents are being, dumped into this. Rules are there, laws are there. So immediately we went to the pollution control board. I had a meeting with the pollution control board secretary, and we said that as being enforced rule of law for even the pollution thing. Somebody trying to pollute the lakes or water bodies or anything. We have very stringent laws. Why can't we enforce that? So he was also very cooperative. He said, yes sir, we will use a IAS officer. He said, yes, we immediately do it, sir. And so we had a plan of action, and we are now getting into the database, and shortly we will have a HYDRAA Police Station. So government is very, very keen to give a police station status to HYDRAA. And once we have a HYDRAA police station, our enforcement will be much more stronger. See, many of the gated communities or the apartments which have come up in the vicinity of the water bodies, the pollution control standards very clearly specify that anything built up space beyond 20,000 square meters, they should have an STP, and that whatever treated is there, that should be used internally again. But I found that they are leaving it everything, that sewage is left out of the lakes, the nearby water bodies. The reason being, they will save that cost, and the association will pocket that money. So some whatever the treatment, that STP treatment cost and all, they will try to show that some on some figures and all. They will say, and they will pocket that. And the water is being. We went physically to some of the apartments, huge gated communities. We walked into that and we saw that that drain, they were letting it out into the water body. So this is just nothing like people, whoever is violating law or somebody violating law have to have that fear of law. So that HYDRAA being an enforcement agency, we are doing that with the support of the government and mainly from the support of the public. And judiciary also is now totally supporting our the cause for which HYDRAA is working. See, now every right-spirited people, every right-minded and every positive-spirited people, they all would like to come together because we have to save this water bodies or the environment for our posterity. Other day when I was just seeing one child, she was mentioning that we have not taken whatever this as a legacy, but this is a debt which we have taken from the future generations, not as a legacy from the past generations, which is very true. Children are speaking that way. Somebody who is in 8th standard or 7th standard. So they seem to be more mature than the elders or the so-called affluent or whoever it is, and whoever is trying to grab hold of this land. So HYDRAA is now into even lakes restoration. So it's not just we are on a demolition spree. We are now trying to revive many lakes. A lot of DPRs are being prepared for that. And shortly you'll see that wherever we have done the demolitions, we'll come up with the lake rejuvenation part also. And we'll show to the world that yes, look, this is how a lake should be. So that once we see, and pollution check into the lakes also has to be definitely carefully monitored. And we'll be assisting the pollution control board also. It's not that we'll try to usurp everybody's duties, it's not that. We'll be supporting them. We'll work hand in hand with various other agencies. And it's a cooperative and being in such a positive that note, HYDRAA will work and will ensure that we give a better environment and better protect the public spaces or the community spaces here in Hyderabad. And I thank the organizers for inviting me to this meeting here.